welcome to episode 23 of my crafting podcast. This is my fortnightly vlog about knitting, crochet, spinning, dyeing, anything else that seems like a good idea at the time. I'm coming to you from North Yorkshire in the north of England, where I live with my 3 daughters, my husband and our 2 cats, one of whom is purring happily behind me. Yes, Instagram. I'm on Instagram as Mel Brown Crafting Podcast, and I'm on Ravelry as Funky40, and we have a Ravelry group for this podcast where I put the show notes. So if there's anything I talk about today, any patterns or people, I put links to them over on Ravelry, and you can get to that by just clicking on the link below. That will take you straight across. So that's the start. It's lovely to be back properly, because I did record on New Year's Day, but I was very rushed because we had family in the house, not just my family, my husband's family as well, and they were coming and going, and I was trying to not to show them, and also trying to get it all done so that the front room was free for stuff. So I didn't really take my time very much last time. So I'm glad to be back. It's now halfway through January, and I'm back into the swing of things. Christmas decorations have gone, which is very sad. I really do hate taking them down. Well, I like taking them down in the fact that I like to get my house back. But I really hate the kind of fact that it signifies that this is definitely over. You've got to wait another 12 months, 11 months for this to happen again. Anyway, so where's Clyde going? So, hello. If you've not watched before, hello, welcome. If you're a long sufferer, hello, welcome back. I'll start with where are they now? So, what happened to the projects that you've already seen? Let's start with the garden flowers. So this started out life as a blanket, and then it became, it's going to be now a bed runner. So it wants to go over the foot of my second daughter's bed. So I had got quite a way into it, and realised that I wasn't going to have enough of the grass green. To be honest, I kind of knew that from the start. If you've been a long-suffering watcher, you've seen me comment on that for a long time. So this was the stuff that I had. It's Red Heart Detroit in the colourway Lime, and Red Heart Detroit seems to have been discontinued, and nobody in the UK stocks that colourway, so I was in a bit of bother with it. Let me show you the product, the project even. So I've got a picture of it. I've got a picture of it laid out on the floor. I'll put that in here. So that's a better view of it, but here it is, and I've joined a couple more. If you've watched before, you'll know that I was having trouble getting my head around where to put the green squares, the green hexagons and things. I'm still struggling with that, but I ordered some more yarn. My friend Adriana over in Texas helped me to find a few different yarns that were going to be similar, and ended up with this one. So it's still Red Heart. It's called Lovely Wool. Now this is 100% acrylic. This is 50% wool. But, oh, you see in that light, it doesn't look so close. It's okay. It's grass. Grass is not all the same colour, is it? So, grass for you in the south. So, there it is. So it's going to be okay. As you can see, it's not going to be a line, because I've got still to go around this fella here, and this one over here. Yeah, basically it's not a line. It's going to be a line where the old colour stops and a new colour starts. It's going to kind of pop in all over the place, so it won't be as obvious. And you know, in a bedroom, when you've got shadows and different lights and stuff, you're not going to notice a slightly different green, and my daughter Lexi is not bothered. So I have got all I need now. I got, these are only 50-gram balls, but I got six of them. So that should give me all I need to continue with that. So you'd think I'd be on with it, wouldn't you? I haven't touched it since I got the yarn. I don't know why, but I will, and I'll carry on with that. Other projects that haven't received any attention: my memories blanket and my Opus socks. They are languishing still. I like to get them out every now and then just to feel the texture of them, because it's really strange. Right, I won't talk about those because I haven't done anything on them. I will come back to them. So that's 3 works in progress. Only one of them is actually technically active at the moment. What's next? Ooh, the Exclamation Shawl. I just happened to have a conversation on Instagram with the designer of this yesterday, which is quite exciting. So I moved the marker that I put in to say where I was, my progress keeper. I moved it to try and highlight a stitch, and then I thought, oh, where was it? Anyway, there's the blue, there's the green, there's the yellow, there's the pink, and now we're on full pink. So it's very wide. That's lovely, isn't it? It's very wide, and I only had to rewind the ball because it got in a mess. I've only got that much left. So there's a 4-row repeat, and then at the end of that you do just a row of something basic, and then you cast off. And I'm currently on row 3. When I get to the end of this, I'll have done row 4. So I think what I'm going to do is finish this row, do my return pass, do the extra row of whatnots, and then cast off. I'm going to finish it because I'm not confident that I've got enough there to do another full set, and if I get halfway through it and I can't, or I get through the full set and then can't do the extra row, I'm going to be annoyed. It's long enough, believe me, it's long enough, and it hasn't been blocked yet, but look, yeah, it's over the top of my Hotel of Bees, so it's going to be long enough, and then I'll get Andrea, my friend, to block it, and I'll get her to block it lengthwise, not widthwise, if you see what I mean, to straighten it out, extend it lengthwise. Anyway, so that, I could probably finish that today. Oh, my giddy aunt. I'm in a mess. So, what is this? This is the Exclamation Shawl. Let me find the pattern. Front page by Fiona Kelly. Of Kelly Crochet, I believe. Put all the details up here. So, it's a really interesting pattern. I don't know how that design with the great big thick bit at that end is going to work. I don't know how I'm going to style that, but I suspect I'll do a Stephen West and just chuck it on and see what happens. But it is ultimately for a course, so I'm teaching a course on making this shawl at Yarn Etc. in Harrogate. I've got one in February. I want to say it's the 16th of February. It's fully booked, but there's another one in October. It's not exactly soon after, is it? But anyway, so there you go. And I'm using a Shape Your Swirl. It's in the colourway Sherbet Rainbow, I believe. And that's 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. It's one of those 1 kilometre of yarn balls. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I am probably using the hook recommended by the pattern, because it's a sample for a course. It's 5mm hook. And of course it's Tunisian crochet, in case I hadn't said that, in case it wasn't already obvious. So you work across picking up stitches, and then you work back and come back just to one. So that's what you do. So that is so nearly finished. I will definitely have that finished by next time I speak to you, probably by the end of the day. I love finishing projects. I like starting projects and I love finishing them. Sometimes the bit in between can be a bit of a slog. This Exclamation Shawl is a long project. The Tunisian crochet, because you have to do 2 rows for each row, as it were, it's slow, and that stitch is quite tricky as well because it's a cross stitch. So as you're coming along this way, you don't do this stitch, you do this one, and then you pick up this one. So this one looks a bit strange and funny by the time you get to it. So it's not a quick stitch at all, but it's quite hypnotic. And I think, you know, when you read a really good book and it gets a place in your life and you do it every day or whatever, and then it's gone and you finished it and it's like, oh, leaves a space in your life. I think that Exclamation Straw is going to do that for me. I've been doing it for so long now, I'm going to pick it up and think, oh, I can't pick it up, it's already done. Anyway, that's good. That's work in progress number 4. My next work in progress is my first ever mystery crochet along. So spoiler alert, warning, if you are following the Echo Chamber crochet along by Joanne's Grace, the crochet project, and you don't want to see what is happening, then don't look now. So I am doing this in 2 yarns. One of them is actually the recommended yarn, which is very unusual for me. I don't even normally do the recommended hook size, let alone yarn. So that's Fibre Space Fairy Wings from Yarn Etc. in Harrogate's. It's in the colourway Lagoon. It's 69% mulberry silk, 22% mohair. Nice. And the other one is Beehive Yarns in the base Audrey in the colourway Rooftop Witches, also from Yarn Etc. So the crochet along started, the first clue was on Boxing Day, and then we've got them weekly ever since. So we get another one on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. And this is how it's looking so far. Look at the ends. Yeah, I carried the ends up on the square piece, which was clue 1, and look what a mess I made of it. Am I showing you the right place? Suddenly it doesn't look so bad. Looks bad to me. Right side and wrong side. I don't like the way that I did that. So I thought, right, I'm not going to colour. I'm not going to bring the colours up the edge. I'm going to just snip them and run the ends in. But then it says, the pattern says you're going to work this end again, this edge again later. So I haven't sewn the ends in because I find it a lot more difficult to stitch into a crochet into a stitch that has already had an end run into it, because it's got extra bits on it. I normally would run the ends in, and I don't like leaving them because it just feels like I'm causing problems for later. It's going to be a nightmare later on. But in this situation, I'm going to have to suck it up. So you can see it's got a lovely holey texture. It's very drapey. The Beehive Yarns is standard sock yarn. So the two just beautiful together. I can't imagine where it's going next, but I'm looking forward to it. It's really good fun. I've never done a mystery craft thing before because I'm a bit of a control freak. I want to know what it's going to look like at the end before I choose to do it. But actually I have found this so much fun. Really, really enjoying it. So I think this is a new thing for me. I think I might do more of these. Yeah, it's good. So that's that. I'm getting all my bags in a mess. What's next? The Lefty. Let's stop and start again. So the Lefty is a pattern by Martina Bain. If you've watched before, you'll know that I'm a very big fan of Martina Bain. I love her patterns. They're so elegant and nicely written. So this is the Lefty. So it's a background yarn in my case, neutral, but other people have used non-neutral yarns. I'm just looking for the ball band for it, sorry. There it is. So it's Chester Wool Company. Oh, I'm surprised on that. Yeah, so that's there. Look at what's lurking in here. It's my little Notions bag that I got as a Christmas present. A little pom-pom. It's from Fiona at Yarn Etc. And inside it, because I'm running in ends as I go, I've got my little case which has the ends. And I just got so sick of not having scissors. My youngest daughter keeps nicking them. I'm sure when we tidy up her room, we're going to find dozens of pairs of scissors in there. So I actually bought a pack of 5 pairs of scissors. And the cat, not this one, the other one, loves them. She wants to eat them. She keeps trying to eat them, which is a bit worrying, really. She is strange. And so yeah, I've got a bag, I've got a pair of scissors in pretty much every project bag now, which is wonderful, because previously I've been just having to borrow them and nick them and try and find my bigger notions bag. Rambling. Let's see the project. So there's the background colour, and then you use leftover sock yarn scraps. Martina suggests that you choose 4 colours and just alternate between those, but you know, that's far too normal for me. So each petal for me is a different leftover sock yarn. Not necessarily socks, that was a shawl I made for as a gift. But yeah, I don't think I've made an awful lot of progress since I last spoke to you, actually. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I've got 19. The sample has 29. And I don't know, I'm just going to probably do at least 29, maybe more, because I've got a second ball of the cream, and I've got endless supplies of sock yarn scraps, so I'll just keep going until it's big enough. Obviously it's getting bigger, so for each new let me think, about 2 centimetres, each new 2 centimetres of length is taking longer and longer to make. But do you know what, it's fun. It is just fun. It's so elegantly written, you can really easily memorise it. I do keep getting the petal bit slightly wrong, but I don't care. But you know, you can just look at it and think, oh yeah, I need to do that next. I love that. So that's the lefty. Not much progress, but not really doing much knitting at the moment. So that's why, but I've had other things on my mind. Do you know, this is meant to be, January, February is meant to be my time of selfish knitting. So I started Christmas knitting in July and crochet, and although I haven't exclusively done Christmas knitting, I have very much had that as my focus. So this is the time when traditionally I'm doing non-time critical, completely selfish crafting. I don't seem to be doing that this year, because I know I need to finish the exclamation shawl before the course and get it blocked. And I'm also going to do that Garden Flowers bed runner for Lexi, and that's in her birthday's in March. So I've also started another project, which is time critical. So that was all the where are they now? This is a new whip on the block, but it's not a new pattern. If you've watched me before, you'll know that I also love Susan Claudino's patterns. They are little soft toys, and there's no sewing up. I hate sewing up. So it's Bonbon. My youngest daughter, we all have animal names, well, kind of Pooh Bear names in our family. I am Pooh Bear. My eldest daughter is Piglet, and the next one is Tigger, and the little one is Rabbit. So we've always sort of associated her with rabbits, and I made her with one pattern about 3 or 4 rabbits, but they were all sewing up and I didn't like it, and I discovered this, and I've made her at least 3 of these, and she wants another one for her birthday. Well, I had bought her some beautiful West Yorkshire Spinners rainbow yarn. We love rainbows, you know why. And I said I'd make something for her, but we couldn't really decide what that would be. So another rabbit it is. I have started it, but only just. Here's the first foot. It's so lovely the way you make these. I'm not going to give away anything of the pattern because it's a paid pattern, but you make these feet and you don't have to sew them together. You incorporate them when you're knitting the body, and then you incorporate the other bits and pieces. It is really lovely. If you like soft toys but you don't like sewing up, give Susan Claudino a go. There's a link to this pattern, like with all the others, in the show notes, which are down, link to which is down below. So I love the way it's coming out with the little stripes, and of course it'll be totally random, all body parts will be different. So yeah, I haven't made much progress on that, partly because she pointed out that the last one, the feet were on sideways, the wrong way rather. And I looked at it and I thought, they look like they're kind of on sideways, and I didn't really know whether I'd done that wrong. I don't know why that stopped me, but also these needles, I must get rid of them. The join here is horrible, and you know, these little rows, I'm pushing it back and forth all the time, and I'm really getting annoyed with it. So I didn't start another one. Let's see, just get that onto there. It's just a flipping nightmare. So I'm actually going to bin these needles. I've got tons more. I'm using a 2.75mm. I have tons more. I've got some higher sharps as well. I've got some symphonies, but these are my favourites. They're just a Knit Pro. Yeah, these Novo. So I'm going to change needles, and I'm going to finish off that. And that, if I paid attention to it, I'd have it done in a week. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm not really knitting much at the moment. So that is my new whip, only just, and that brings me to 7 works in progress, which is lovely. I count my works in progress just to talk through them, because if you haven't watched me before, I feel that a lot of crafters make themselves feel guilty about having lots of works in progress at any given point, whereas I don't think we should be doing that. I think we have a right to have as many projects as we want. This is our hobby. A lot of people's hobbies don't actually produce anything at the end. You know, golf, windsurfing, that kind of stuff. You don't produce a product at the end. Ours usually does, but that doesn't mean that we have to finish every project and we have to focus on a project. It's not like that. We can do what we want, and I feel strongly that however many works in progress you have at any given moment, it's fine. I just ripped one out yesterday actually. I had been working on something called interlocking crochet, or I think it's called double filet in the US. I really enjoyed it, and I bought lots and lots of acrylic Aran yarn to make samples, and I was thinking I might teach a course on it, but actually I lost interest, and it occurred to me that unless other people out there are asking for the course, I'm going to have a real uphill struggle to get a course booked and populated. So I decided to just frog them all, and I did that yesterday. It was a bit of a sad day, but you know, I've got to move on, and I've now got about 8 to 10 different colours of 100-gram balls of Aran acrylic, which I can use for a blanket or anything I fancy really. So that's good. I'm rambling now. Okay. Right, just a little break there to get myself a cup of tea. Oh, left the bag in. Oh, goodness me. I've got Twining's salted caramel green tea, which I absolutely love, but I can't leave the bag in, so I leave the bag in for just a couple of minutes, and then I use it again later, and I can leave it in. So I get 2 cups of tea out of one bag. This is my panda mug that my girls bought for me. Excuse me. Right. So, something new. This year I have made a lot of decisions about crafting this year. One of them was that I'm going to knit from stash for 6 months, which is really exciting because I don't want to spend money. I feel bad spending money on yarn when I've already got yarn, but also it makes me less imaginative. So I see a pattern I want and I buy some yarn for it, or I just buy some yarn that I really like the look of in a shop. But what's more imaginative for me is seeing some yarn and thinking, right, what can I do with that? So I'm going to do a little feature, I think. I might do one this, yeah, I might do one on this one. I probably will in a minute, go get something. So instead of stash acquisition, I'm going to show you something random from my stash that I don't know what to do with, and get some ideas, hopefully inspire you to give me some ideas of what I could do with it. But I've got plenty of stash. I mean, it's not mad, but again, that's something else that people like to feel guilty over. Please don't do that. If you've got stash, if you can afford to buy the yarn, then why shouldn't you? For a rant on this, go back an episode or two, because I do regularly talk about it. But however big your stash is, it doesn't matter. Mine is not huge, but excuse me, but I don't enjoy having that and not using it, and stuff that I've bought can sit there for months and years, and I don't like that. It doesn't make me happy. This is my hobby and I need it to make me happy. So because I'm talking about using up my stash and wanting to reduce my stash, that doesn't mean that you need to do that or you need to want to do that. Just wanted to let you know that. So I'm going to knit from stash from 6 months. So I'm going to show you something random each time. But I do actually have something new because I went to my mum-in-law's for Christmas. I gave her that Bellezza hat, that cream hat. That was really nice. She really liked that. I took a picture of her wearing that, and she was also wearing the brioche bay leaf scarf that I made for her 2 or 3 years ago. So that was a good picture. I'll show that here. So she bought me for Christmas. When I say she bought me, what I mean is she sent me some money, put some money into my bank, and I ordered some yarn and a book. So, what do you think of this bag? Oh, it should really say knitting is my cardio, but in here is the most ridiculous and wonderful array of tiny little balls of Shapius Catona. Did you hear that? The cat doing something mad in the kitchen. They're 25-gram balls, all from Yarn Etc. in Harrogate, and there are 2 of each different colour. I'm going to attempt to give you a look in this bag. What do you think of that? It's mad. They're beautiful. Ah. So the idea is I've got a pattern in mind called Janelle. It's from my crochet jumpers pattern book. It's a cardigan, and I thought I would just do it in stripes. So it's top down. I thought, well, I'll try and keep the stripes going. It's not going to happen. Not when I've got 2. So I've divided and I've got the body and 2 sleeves going at once. It's not going to happen. So I'm just going to start with one colour, knit both balls of that colour, switch to another, and just keep going. And then when I do the sleeves, I'll do the same. The sleeves might match each other, they might not. I'll see how I feel. But it's going to be a mad jumper, a cardigan, which will clash with or go with everything, depending on your perspective. So I got that. And I also got a book. Do you watch Gemma B Makes? It's a podcast from a lady in Leeds. It's quite close to me. And she talks about her sewing, and she does quite a lot of sewing. And she recommended this book. So I bought it for myself for Christmas. And it's basically Introduction to Dressmaking. Now, my friend Andrew and I sat down last year and we started to make a top from a top I'd got. And I got part way through it, and then she had to go, and I wasn't confident that it was good enough quality, which is strange for me because when it comes to sewing I'm usually fast and dirty and I'm not that bothered, but it did bother me, but it gave me enough impetus to decide to start making some clothes. So I've got this. I love it. I've got as far, I'm reading it from the start, cover to cover job. I've got as far as starting your first project, and it's just for a headband. Now, a lot of these clothes are not going to be suitable for me. You might have worked out from what you've seen that I am a lady of larger proportions. Very happy to be so and not at all bothered by it. But these are the patterns, and I just don't think that will work for me. I don't think most of these things will work for me. This quite possibly will, but as a tunicky top rather than a dress. So it's not ideal, but I will work through as many of the patterns as I can. Maybe I'll make some of them for my children. My daughters. They're nearly 13, nearly 16 and 18, so they're not exactly children, but I could make something for them. So I love it. It's very thick, and although it's second hand, I'm pretty sure I bought it second hand. I usually do. Maybe I didn't. It's got patterns in the back, which is very exciting. So that's my something new. So this year I intend to start making my own clothes. I don't know if I've told you other goals. I want to do some brioche. I bought in Stephen West's 30th birthday sale, I bought brioche chevrons. which is, as you might imagine, a brioche chevron pattern. And that's a kind of shawl thing, you know, great big massive scary shawl like most of his stuff is. And I am going to do that. I'm going to master continental knitting, so I'm going to make a pair of socks that's entirely knit continental. Jumpers and cardigans. Socks was also on the cards, but as I said last time, I have worn those socks since, the crochet socks I made, started on Christmas Eve, the crochet along. Let's come back to that. And I don't like the feel of them, so I'm not particularly enthusiastic about getting back to that, but I will at some point try a different pattern, a different stitch pattern on the sole, because that extended single crochet just feels horrible. So what else? Can't think. It'll come to me, doesn't matter. So that's goals and whatnot. Yeah, did you do the Christmas Eve cast on? So we did a Christmas Eve cast on, like the same as Danny from Little Bobbin's Knits, but it was crochet socks. And there were quite a few of us that took part. They're done very quickly. Most of them certainly got a long way through. A lot of frogging and ripping out and resizing and whatever. Things that crochet socks are not very easy things to size. But there's one lady who made a lovely pair. I don't remember, Kiki Boo? I'll put it up here. Actually, I haven't got her permission to do that. It's okay. It's on the Ravelry thread for the knit along. She'd crocheted a pair that were flat, and then you seam them. And she said they're wonderfully comfortable. So I do want a pair of welly boot socks, because I've had a pair of black fluffy welly boot socks that I wear. Well, I don't wear wellies, but I've got walking shoes, and I wear a normal pair of socks, and then I put these black over socks at the top, and they can come up over my jeans as well to stop me getting muddy at the bottom of my jeans. And I put them on yesterday or the other day, and I ripped a hole in them because they're so thin. So I need to make myself a pair of thick welly boot walking boot socks. So maybe a DK pair. So yeah, maybe I'll crochet them, but probably I won't, because I don't want to take the risk. I'm rambling again. So anyway, the thread is still there. If you're still working on yours, let us know how it's coming along. Let us know if you found a comfortable pair. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I don't know, end of February maybe, I'll just close the thread, and well, I won't close it, but I'll make a note of everybody who's taken part, and we'll do a draw for that bag. Yeah, I'll do that. So I haven't been working on these other projects very much, have I? There's not an awful lot of progress apart from the sort of the exclamation shawl. I had been working on something else, spinnery. So that was the challenge to spin every day in January, which I started, and we have a few people taking part in various places of the country. We didn't do a thread for it because there wasn't really enough of us doing it, but there was a hashtag on Instagram, hashtag spinnery. And it's gone really, really well for me. Absolutely amazing. In fact, my history with spinning is that I bought a drop spindle and 2 bats of fibre from Spin City, the Knitting and Stitching show. Now, I haven't been to the last 2, so it must be at least 2 years ago. I would think it was probably 3, maybe more, years ago. And I had a little go, and I followed a video and everything, and I was really bad at it, and then I kind of put it away, and I didn't do anything with it for a long time. And this made me a bit unhappy. And then me and my design partner Linda went on a course at Spring Into Wool, which is a yarn festival in Leeds, in April last year. And we were given, as part of the course, we were given a drop spindle, a wooden, quite a heavy one, and a braid of undyed fibre. And that kind of got me started again. It certainly got Linda started, and she kept on and on doing it, getting better and better. And I decided to get more into it. And in the summer we went to, we took a little road trip out to Reeth to go to the threshing barn. If you're in Yorkshire and you haven't been there, I'll put a link to it. It's an amazing place. I talked about it on one of the podcasts, I can't remember where. and it's awesome. And I bought 2 more 100-gram things of fibre there. One was merino and one was merino and silk. And Linda had given me a braid as well. So I've got plenty of fibre. So I decided that I really wanted to use it. I've also now got 4 drop spindles. I bought that first one from Spin City. My youngest daughter got quite into it, and she got one for her birthday from my mum, which she then hasn't used, unfortunately. Children are all the same, but Nanny more so. She does move on from things, and she hasn't moved back as yet. So there, and then I got the one from that course, so I had 3. And then Linda, because I was struggling to find a place to spin, Linda bought me a Turkish one from Cat and Sparrow, a tiny little plastic 3D printed one. It's amazing. It's really, really good. So I've got 4 spindles, 500 grams of fibre, and I wasn't spinning. So that's a bit frustrating. So that's the background to why I started Spinnery. So I have been getting a lot of input from my friend Sarah in Leeds, who's also doing Spinnery with me. She has a wheel. And also from Adriana in the US, who spins a lot. And I've been getting a lot of input from them. And I am going in on Saturday to the Guild of Weavers, Spinners and Dyers. They've got a monthly meeting, and I'm going to go along there. And that's another thing that Gemma B makes. Gemma had recommended. She went to the one in the Bradford one, and she met the ladies, and she got really well. And she, in fact, she hired a wheel for a few weeks to give that a go, an actual wheel. I didn't think I was going to do that, but as time goes on, I probably think I might if I get a chance. Excuse me, my throat's really dry this morning. So I might do that if I get a chance, but I don't know if I'm going to the Skipton branch. So that's Saturday all day, actually. Well, 4 hours, I think. Don't know how long I'll be there, but so I'm going to go along there and get some more input. But yeah, so I've been using my drop spindle, and I have been spinning every day until yesterday when I was plying. Now, I don't know what anybody else's practice is, but I spin that way, which is anti-clockwise, counterclockwise for the US people. And so I had to ply the other way. And yesterday I started plying, and I thought I'm not going to do any spinning because I'm going to get seriously confused. So all I need to tell you is that I made yarn. I can't tell you how excited I am. I've been playing around at this spinning business for a while, and just producing these singles that just sit in balls and whatever. Last week I started putting them all together into single balls of one type. And then last night I started, Linda as well, Linda was helping me with that. I started plying them. So I made a plying ball from the 2 of them. So it's a ball wound with just the 2 of them together. And then I plied them together on the drop spindle. And that was interesting. I had a few challenges with it, but particularly with the art yarn, the stuff that's my early stuff. But anyway, I got 3 skeins of yarn spun. What I did was I applied the cream from the course with the coloured stuff that I bought from Spin City, and I made 3 little skeins. I'm going to show you them now. It's not quite dry. I'm sure this is not the first one I made, but this is definitely the first yarn I spun, the first singles I spun, because look how thick and thin it is. In places it's a bit shocking, but that's okay because it was the first. So you can see there's the cream, and it's that barbershop pole, candy cane look. I love it. With pink and green. So that is an Aran or a chunky or something. Doesn't really matter much, but so I applied it, and then I soaked it, and then I thwacked it. Is that a technical term? It's what Sarah calls it, where you just get the wet skein and you whack it against something. I whacked it against the shower wall, and then I've dried it overnight. This isn't quite dry, so here it is. Isn't it amazing? I made this. This was just fluff. I'm in a knot here, but I just can't get over the fact that I made this. I feel amazing. Smells really sheepy too. I guess it's still wet. So I also made 2 other skeins on which to show you because they're more similar. This one's definitely the blues and the purples one. It's gorgeous. You can see there's a lot of variation in that. Yeah, this is not not a professional job at all. But you know what? I don't care. And this is something that I was talking about. I actually spoke to Sarah on the phone. We usually just message on Instagram, but I spoke to Sarah yesterday and she was saying, you know, if I want perfect yarn, I will go buy yarn. This is not what I spin for. I spin for the pleasure of it and the variability and the, you know, all that stuff. I'm really, really happy with this. I need to put that back on the radiator actually, so I won't mind it. But it looks pretty, doesn't it? And then probably the best of the 3 skeins is the one I actually plied first. So that's quite a variety of colours there. Probably in most places around a DK weight, but it's definitely too variable to do any kind of gauge with. So what I plan to do with that lot is crochet probably a corner to corner, you know, like this, but a cowl. I saw a pattern for it and I'm not going to be able to follow a pattern because I don't have a standard weight of yarn or anything, but I'll just pick a hook and see where it goes and crochet corner to corner, just keep going until I think it's wide enough and then keep going until I think it's long enough and then either seam it together or crochet it together or something. I do have a little bit more of the singles that I haven't plied yet, and I have some more fibre that I spun in the early days, and it's appalling. So what I've done with it, most of that is I've respun it. So I've got that to do, and then I've still got a big mess of whole mass of green and white fibre from Spin City, and then the 3 things. So I've got plenty still to go at. So I'm rambling again, sorry, drink of tea. So I am giddy as a kipper. I can't believe that I have made yarn. It's amazing. So that's that. Again, I'll probably finish that as soon as it's dry. Start that rather. Dave's away. My husband travels a lot. I'm not going to see much of him at all now between now and mid-Feb. He's away all the week, and some of the weekends as well. So evenings after dinner I just craft. So tonight I'll probably finish off the Exclamation Straw and start crocheting with this if I can get it all dry in time. So fantastic, exciting, wonderful. Right, other news. I have started a new regime. I suffer from nighttime anxiety and insomnia, and sometimes one causes the other and then the other causes back, which isn't good. And while we're away at my mum-in-law's, my husband read an article about somebody who had exactly this problem, and decided to resolve it by having a new morning regime. Excuse me. So it's get up at 5 AM. I know, inside you're thinking, oh my God, are you mad? So read about it on Sunday, and I am quite, I wouldn't say impulsive, but I'm quite impatient. I liked the idea, so the next day, Monday, I got up at 5, and I have done ever since. So that's just over a week. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, I'll probably cut that bit out, right? It was about a week that I've done it now. This is my 9th day, and it's going really well. So I'm up at 5. Have a quick shower, and I'm pottering about a bit, spend some time with the girls if they're going off to school, and then I'm going upstairs at about 9. Another big change. I have for years now had my current projects upstairs in the bedroom. So I've got some storage boxes, and my yarn stash is down in the office in boxes, but my current projects and all the stuff that is around them, my needles, my hooks, is all in my bedroom, and I have been for years going up at 9 o'clock to bed and knitting and crocheting for about an hour, and then clean my teeth, read a book, settle down at 10, sleep by 11. But I've decided that, you know, if you watched before, how excited crochet gets me. Knitting calms me down, but crochet gets me excited. And because I'm doing so much more crochet at the moment, I think that's part of what's causing the anxiety. I think I'm stimulated by crocheting in my bed, and then I can't switch off. And also on a weekend, I still get up at roughly 7ish, but I have been sitting in bed and crafting for as long as I can get away with. So I've changed all of that. I've moved all my projects down here to the front room, and I am not crafting in my bedroom anymore. So when I go up at 9, I'm already kind of 2 hours ahead of myself. So I'm just doing my teeth straight away, getting into bed, doing a bit of reading and falling asleep as soon as I'm tired. And so it's a complete change. So I've got all my stuff down here. I've got a big space in my bedroom now, which is weird. And I tell you, it was much easier to get ready for the podcast because of running up and down the stairs to get everything and get it out of boxes just stacked on top of each other. It's right here, and then they're sat beside each other. So it's been much easier so far. And I can this is my den here. So when I get up at 5 in the morning on a weekend, because this weekend was the first one. Saturday we drove off to Bristol, so I wasn't up for very long before we were off. Sunday I came down here at 5 and I just hung out in my little den here with my cats and my blanket, knitting and crocheting and spinning and things. So it's a real change of focus, and yeah, it's taken a while to get used to it. The first few days were okay. After that I started just crashing, you know, at sort of 9 o'clock I would just see my bed and think, oh my god, I need to get into that. So I'd have a half an hour nap in the morning or in the evening, and that was okay because I think, you know, I've got up 2 hours early, so having a half an hour nap is not a problem. So yesterday I didn't have a nap at all, and today I don't think I will. So I think I've kind of got through that wall, and it's great. I am sleeping much better. Part of it is that when you go to bed, you're not thinking, oh, I've got so much to do tomorrow, because you're thinking, I've got time in the morning before anybody else gets up. I can do stuff. And it's had some unexpected benefits. Like, there are things that I like to do but I don't really make time for, like eco bricking. That's where you get a plastic bottle and you stuff inside it loads of stuff that can't be recycled. So things like black plastic, you know, the packs that come with chocolate boxes or boxes of crackers or whatever, sort of not soft but not hard plastic thing. The black and the brown stuff you can't recycle. So that, and soft plastics, the plastic bags that things come in, you shove all of those into the plastic bottle. So, and you poke it down with a wooden spoon, you get it as firm as you can. And the advantage of this is that it keeps all of those plastics out of the ocean. And ultimately, if they're done right, you can actually use them in building projects as insulation. But at the moment, what we're doing is we're just putting them in our attic on top of our glass wall as an additional layer of insulation, which is, you know, great, can't do any harm, probably is doing some good, and it's keeping a lot. You wouldn't believe how much stuff you can get into one bottle. It's amazing, and so it's keeping all that stuff out. It's brilliant. So, but I have to make time for that. And it was getting to where I was thinking at the weekend, oh, I really need to do some eco bricking, but I don't really want to. So now it's not a problem, because every morning I can do some eco bricking before the kids get up. And also I'm learning French. I've been learning French with a lovely app called Duolingo for a long time, and so I do my French then. And I'm also doing a crochet diploma with Centre for Excellence. And it's making time for that as well. So all those things in the morning, I can get a lot of that stuff done. I can get a load of washing put on to start the day, and I can get myself organised. And it's a really good start to the day. I'm really rambling now, sorry. Okay, so that is more or less it. I'm going to show you something weird and random from my stash. Right. Okay, so just want to show you this. This is an eco brick. So it's just a drinks bottle, and it's a wide necked one. These Morrison's juices are like that, Asda do juices like that as well, with a wide necked. M&S do as well. It's really, really useful because trying to get plastic into a smaller neck isn't good. So it's quite firm. You can see how much plastic there is in there, and that's the kind of stuff that you put in landfill and it just ends up, God knows where, wrapped around some poor animal or in their stomach. So I'll put a link into the eco brick stuff because it's really, really interesting. You can take them to collection places in the country and they get put into building projects, but to be honest, I'm not confident enough at the moment that I am getting rid of all food stuff and water and all the other things in there that could make it unstable. I guess I'll know when those have been up there a year or two whether I've got anything in there which is going to affect its stability, but I would hate to hand over something that's actually going to produce some microbial action or whatever that's going to cause a problem. Anyway, that's that. Now, something weird and wonderful. This was a present to me from Linda, my design partner. She wanted me to design something for her with it. But because I'm mean and lazy, I didn't do it. And there it is. It's hand-dyed yarn from St. Petersburg, FL, Florida. Yeah, tencel. It's tencel tape. It's beautiful. It really is. You know how I'm into my greens and blues at the moment. You can see it's tape, not yarn. I love it. It is 120 yards. Yeah, it is American, which is what? For want of anything better, 120 metres, thereabouts, maybe 100 metres. I can't remember if it's a little bit more or a little bit less. So that's what it is. It says, oh, it doesn't say what kind of weight it is, as in what hook or needle you'd use with it. Who knows? It's beautiful. It's quite soft. Tencel's it's a plant fibre, is it? Anyway, what should I do with this? This is the kind of challenge that knitting from stash is going to give me, because if I'm not knitting from stash, then that will just stay in my stash looking beautiful, and every now and then I'll pick it up and think, wow, that's beautiful. But I'm actually going to discipline myself to use it for something. I'm thinking crochet rather than knitting. I don't know why. What do you think? Have you got any ideas of what I'd use that for? Okay, right, I'm done. I feel like I rushed the last one a little too much, and I feel like I've rambled with this one a bit too much, but forgive me, you long-suffering people. Isn't this beautiful? I love it. I love it when I've got so many shawls now that I just think, oh, what shall I wear today? I'm kind of wearing blue, so I've also got pink, so what should I wear? I thought, oh, this, I haven't worn this in a while. I'd kind of forgotten I'd got it. It's only been, you know, a month since I wore it. But it's so beautiful. And in a swap last year, I got enough of this same yarn, which is Shapeless Stonewash, to make another one. And as I was making it in May last year, I knew that I was going to make another one. It's just so much fun to make, and I love to wear it. Right, rambling. Okay, I'm going. Thank you for watching. If you've got all the way to the end, well done you. I have told you about the show notes. If you've enjoyed, please like, please subscribe. You know you know the way it goes. If you're not a member of Ravelry and you want to see the show notes, then just create yourself a username and a password. If it's a problem for you, then just message me and I'll get the show notes to you some other way. If you are taking part in Spinnery, then do post on Instagram with the hashtag Spinnery. if you've done a Christmas Eve cast on crochet socks, do post in the thread and tell us how you're doing with it. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Happy crafting. Thank you. Bye.